Going into 2024, Red Bull will be looking to continue an unbelievable run of dominance as Max Verstappen will be looking to become a 4-time world champion. And in this video, we are going to be previewing Red Bull and the drivers of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez for 2024. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get to the video. As I mentioned, Red Bull already had an unbelievable run in 2023, and they had the most dominant season in F1 history as Red Bull won 21 out of 22 races, which set the record for most wins in a season, and the percentage of races won was 95.4%. They also won 14 consecutive races as a team. Max Verstappen won 19 of those 21 wins and won 10 consecutive wins himself. Sergio Perez, of course, won the other 2 races at Saudi Arabia and also Baku. Red Bull, probably to the surprise of no one, absolutely dominated both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships as well. They got their first ever 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship, and they dominated the Constructors by scoring 860 points, which is more than the combined total of Mercedes and Ferrari, who were second and third. Combined, this led to the most dominant season ever, although that was mostly down to Max Verstappen. And how can we show this? Well, I've brought up the finishing positions in every race between the 2 drivers, and this shows us just how consistent Max Verstappen was when compared to his teammate Sergio Perez. Sergio has a lot of work to do, in my opinion, to keep his seat for 2025. Yes, he finished in second place in the Drivers' Championship, but this was the most dominant F1 car in history, and Perez was only able to get on the podium 5 times from Monaco until the end of the season, whereas Max won 16 races in that same time. If the competition are closer to Red Bull this season, which I think they might very well be, Sergio Perez could struggle to find himself on the podium, which may be a major red flag for the Red Bull team that are currently riding a large wave of momentum. Even though these low finishing positions don't paint a good picture for Perez though, this is not usually down to his race pace, it has to be said. In race trim, Perez has typically been closer to Verstappen, but the reason he finishes a lot lower down is usually down to his races being massively compromised by his struggles when it comes to qualifying. At times, his struggles in qualifying resulted in him getting desperate and then making silly mistakes in races such as Monaco, when he damaged his wing a couple of times, and in Japan, Perez was desperate to make up places at the start, and he got himself unnecessarily involved in an incident, which was then followed by a poor attempt at an overtake on Magnussen, which of course once again resulted in an incident. So just how much was Perez compromised by his qualifying performances? Well, to show that, I've brought up the gap between Perez and Verstappen in lap time. Note, I have mitigated the weekend where there was issues such as a DNF or something such as Verstappen breaking down, or of course also ones where there was changeable weather conditions between different sessions. Even so, this really doesn't help Perez, and it shows how in this area he must improve in the next season. Because, as this shows, these poor qualifying performances lead to Perez starting massively out of position, which is what you can see here when comparing the qualifying positions of both Perez and Verstappen. Perez only beat Verstappen at Saudi Arabia because of a gearbox issue for Verstappen, meaning they couldn't get out of Q2, and in Miami because Verstappen was unable to set a proper lap time in Q3 after Leclerc put the car in the wall. This also shows how often Perez was starting outside of the top 10, and if he was in the top 10, he was starting usually P7 or lower. With a closer field, then it is likely he will struggle to make the top 10 based on current form at a lot of races, and this is not good for that team. I just want to say that if you are enjoying the video, then I would appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. I'm on my way to 5k subs, and I would really appreciate it if you help me get there. Now, let's get back to the video. So, why are we talking about this? As I've mentioned in my McLaren and Ferrari preview videos, the aerodynamic regulations for the 2024 season are very much consistent and staying the same, and the indications right now is that the field is expected to be getting closer together as the competition starts to understand more what Red Bull already knows. This will lead to a convergence of performance, at least in theory. Whilst for Max Verstappen, it will probably not change too much for him, apart from he might actually have to start to fight for some of his wins that he will still inevitably get. For his teammate Sergio Perez, major improvement will be required, otherwise it will be his last season in F1 I feel. Towards the end of 2023, we did get to start to see some convergence, which you can see here when looking at the race pace between McLaren and Red Bull. Now, it has to be said, Red Bull did not really bring any upgrades to their car after the Singapore Grand Prix, whereas others continued to pile on the upgrades, which naturally would lead to a closing of the gap between the field. So we may see Red Bull bring upgrades that will see them pull away once again, but I don't think that they will have the same edge that they had at the beginning of 2023. For Max Verstappen, he absolutely dominated the 2023 season and broke multiple records as he smashed the competition to win his third world championship. He scored the most points in a season, won the most races in a season, won the most consecutive races in a season, and he won the highest percentage of races in a season ever, just to show off how dominant he was. I did a full video talking about all of the records Max Verstappen broke in 2023, and you can find that video in the description below if you wish to check it out. So with that in mind then, Max is looking like he could have an equally impressive 2024. As the race win graph shows, Verstappen is already on a 7-race win streak, meaning that he only needs to win the first 3 races to match his previous record of an already impressive 10 races. If Red Bull keep their edge, then there is no reason why this will not be matched and potentially even beaten. Verstappen went about his races much more intelligently in 2023, but if the field is closer in 2024, I think it will be interesting to see if he keeps this up, or if he will revert to his sometimes questionable aggressive driving, which can land him in trouble from time to time. Even so though, Verstappen is looking like he is in a great position for this season, and I can see more of the same from him, even if I don't think he will win as many races. For his teammate Sergio Perez, as you may have already gathered from earlier in the video, he has a lot of work to do in 2024. His 2023 campaign may have resulted in Red Bull getting their first ever 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship, but Perez definitely made things as tricky as he possibly could, getting himself involved in a lot of silly and unnecessary incidents. In fact, the only real reason Perez finished in second place is because the rest of the field was so close that it was a different team every weekend who was second fastest. Ferrari were of course the second fastest in Bahrain before Aston Martin was second fastest for a few races. Then Mercedes became the second fastest, only to then lose out to McLaren, and then towards the end of the season, Ferrari found their pace again. All of this gave Perez a bit of a buffer to allow him to finish in second place. If these teams now all get closer to Red Bull, and there is a real fight between them, then I don't really know how Perez will manage to find a way to finish in second again. If he fails to score many podiums, then he could find himself being replaced. The question is, who would replace him? Now, I'm not really sure who would. I did say in my 5 predictions video though, who I thought that would be. So if you want to know, check out my preview and predictions video, which is also in the description below. So for Red Bull in 2024, they will be looking to pick up right where they left off in 2023, but there is a potential chance for an increased competition, which could make things a little bit more tricky, especially as the other teams learn more about these regulations that Red Bull designers already know. Ultimately though, they have a great package, and Max Verstappen is the man to absolutely extract every ounce of performance from said package. With that in mind, I see him winning the championship and a good number of races once again. Although, like I said earlier, I don't think it will be as many as in 2023. His teammate Sergio Perez though, I think he may struggle with the rest of the competition getting closer. But that is my thoughts. The question is though, what do you guys think? Do you think Red Bull are going to win both championships again? And how much competition do you think the opposition will pose in 2024 for them? Let me know down below, and as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.